You tune in to the Iceman Show. I'm your host, the Iceman. Go to AskTheIceman.com to subscribe to the Iceman Show. It's just $29.99 per month. There's also big savings if you go for the annual membership option. Also at AskTheIceman.com, we have some business plan specials, and we also have advertising. If you want to advertise your event, business, or your book, your own self-published book, go to AskTheIceman.com for information. Those of you who are interested in business plans, all of the business plan options offer not only a detailed graduate level business plan, but it also offers business consultation. So not only will I provide you with a business marketing plan, I will provide you with up-to-date, real-time guidance through the startup process as well as the operational process. So even once you get it set up and you need to talk to me about some things you need to tweak, well, you've already paid up front, and I'll be happy to correspond with you. So not only are you getting a business plan for $599.99 and up, but you're also getting business consultation. You will not find this deal anywhere. Okay? You will not find this deal anywhere for a business plan. Let me explain something to you. For somebody with an MBA on my level doing a business plan, let me explain something to you. I charge businesses about $5,000 or maybe a little less depending on their annual revenue. But if it's somebody I don't know and this is somebody that this is probably going to be a one-time deal, dude, I charge $5,000 and up, okay, and have gotten it because these people were serious about getting their business off the ground. They weren't playing like a lot of you are. So they'll pay it. But I didn't offer them any business consulting services, and they still paid me $5,000 and up. Okay? So I'm offering you for $599.99. I'm offering you a business plan, especially if you're a new startup and a new business owner. $599.99, hell of a fucking deal. Okay? Hell of a deal. And you also get my business consulting services while you go through the startup process as well as operations. And if you need to retain my services for business consulting from that point forward, then we can sit down and talk about that and work that out as a team. But this is what I'm offering, ladies and gentlemen, and you're not going to get this deal anywhere. Matter of fact, they might even charge you $10,000 for a business marketing plan. That's not necessarily the going rate, but I'm telling you right now, if you want a business marketing plan done by industry professional, you're not going to get one less than $5,000, especially done on the level that I do it and some of my colleagues out here. So go to AskTheIceman.com for information. I wanted to talk about this whole situation with Robin Williams. And the reason why I'm talking about this situation with Robin Williams is because it's an example of why money means nothing if you are depressed, or you have PTSD, or you have schizophrenia, or bipolar 1 or bipolar 2 disorder, whatever the case may be, I don't care how much money you have. You can be in a room full of other people and still feel alone if you suffer from one of these disorders. Okay? And money doesn't make it any better, especially in the case of the late Robin Williams. Now, before all the boo birds come out to play and start talking shit, because some guys was saying some things talking about, well, why are we talking about Robin Williams, and yet why are we talking about Robin Williams and this whole thing in Ferguson, Missouri is going down? Well, let's just keep it real. Robin Williams had an effect on a lot of people within the industry and outside of the industry. And the reason why I know inside the industry is because I worked in Hollywood for years in different capacities, and not just in music business. Okay? And I can tell you that Robin Williams was always a cool, laid back, decent guy. He wasn't the typical white prick that Hollywood is littered with. Okay, let's just get that straight. Robin Williams was one of the few good guys in Hollywood. And that's what makes this situation tragic, is because this man is worth $50 million and he killed himself. He said, I can stand out here and make 20,000 people laugh, and then I walk off stage and I'm down in the dumps. See, this is why I'm trying to explain to you guys that mental health, this is why mental health is so important. This is why you have to take black people need to start taking mental health seriously. I know that Madison Avenue and Hollywood tries to make it seem like if you're rich, then that's all you need to be happy. First of all, happiness is abstract. Happiness is not something you can buy with money. It's not for sale. And I know they teach you, and they've taught us that all you need is money. All you need is money, and all you need to be is white. That'll solve all your problems. Just be white, blonde, and have money. And if you don't have any of those, then you ain't shit. This is what Hollywood tries to pump into our heads on a daily basis, whether it's in television form or movie form. And I'm sick of it, because it's all bullshit. I mean, we're not just talking about Robin Williams. There's a lot of other Hollywood actors and actresses in Hollywood who have killed themselves, who will never know who these people are, because these people weren't famous on the scale that Robin Williams was on. But believe me, suicides in Hollywood are very commonplace. I can tell you based on my years of working in Hollywood. Okay? So all this bullshit, all this little fairy tale, little utopian nonsense that they try to teach us that, you know, all you got to do is be phony and white and have money and all your problems are solved. That's bullshit. As evidence, if not evidenced in any other format, it definitely can be evidenced right here with Robin Williams. There's no way you can sit here and quantify this situation any other way other than to say that material possessions and money don't mean shit. It really makes minorities look dumb as hell when they go out here and try to find a way to make money and never try to find a way to become rich, whether it's buying 50 lottery tickets or running drugs up and down the interstate, riding dirty, or starting phony businesses and ripping people off. It's funny to me when minorities engage in that kind of ridiculous behavior and they still never get rich. Talking about get rich or die trying. Most motherfuckers die trying. Okay? And this whole thing with Robin Williams is sad. It's fucking sad, man. This guy has been suffering from major depression since his early adulthood, since his early 20s. He's been suffering with this shit. But it's only become common knowledge recently. But Robin Williams said something really, I know what you think. He probably gonna say, "Oh, Ice, you always be talking about you knew this and you knew that." You know, there was a quote that was mentioned on Facebook. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he says, better to be alone damn, mad scientist. God damn, you went in on my boy here. God damn, man. Look, I'm gonna holler at you, man. He said, and again, I'm paraphrasing. He said it's better to be. He said it's just as bad to be alone and feel depressed, or it's better to feel. He said. What did he say? Shit. He said. Maybe I'm only going to remember the last half of it, but the gist of what he said in his statement was that being alone was just as bad as being in a room full of people and still feeling alone. If y'all can understand where I'm going with this. So basically what he's saying is, even if I'm in a room full of people, I still feel alone and sad and depressed. When I read that about 4 or 5 months ago, that kind of gave me a window into his functioning. And I even then, and again, I know a lot of y'all gonna say, "Oh, Ice, this is another instance of you saying you know every fucking thing, or you psychically knew that Robin Williams is gonna kill himself. No, no, that's not what I'm saying, guys. What I'm saying is it gave me a sense that this guy had probably had major depression. Again, you got to understand something. I'm a psychotherapist, so anything you say or you write down, I'm going to read beyond the words, or I'm going to listen beyond what you say. It's just like with one of my therapy clients who I hold very dear to me as a client. During session last week or earlier last week, you know, I stated to him that I'm detecting ambivalence. You know, him saying something and then the look on his face and him explaining his actions are telling me something else. That there is congruency between his actions and what he's telling me. Basically, it's your mouth is moving, but your ass is singing another tune. Okay? It's kind of like say you saying if your boy Larry says he took a shower, yet he smells like he just got through running like wind sprints in 90-degree heat with a fur coat on and a wetsuit. You know your boy Larry is lying. If he smells like a funky ass goddamn donkey, but he said he went and took a shower, you know he lying. Now I'm not saying that my client was lying. It wasn't a situation where my client was being dishonest or lying. When you talk about congruency or you talk about ambivalence, basically all you're basically saying is that the client feels differently than what they're admitting. It's not that they're being dishonest. It's just that they're not being forthcoming because they are afraid to reveal their feelings, or they are afraid and they have some kind of fear or something is going on where they don't want to take that next step and totally reveal how they feel. That's really all it is. But don't take what I'm saying as me saying that my clients are being dishonest or they're lying. I don't have any clients that lie, and I don't have any clients that are dishonest. But at the same time, they may or may not totally reveal how they feel. And as a clinician, it is my job to extract that information from them and help them work through this difficult moment, because that's what's called resistance. You're helping the client work through resistance. And resistance is expected. Robin Williams was suffering. And even though after doing my research, he did seek professional help. He did seek professional help from psychiatrists and different mental health professionals. It seems that he may or may not have been consistent in his mental health care. Well, I guess it's obvious, being that he is no longer with us. So what I'm trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, is that we as black people, we've been through so much hell the last 40 years of our existence in North America. And I can honestly say we have not evolved whatsoever, because I get people who will send me messages, and these are non-veterans usually, who will send me messages saying, "Ice, I'm thinking about getting mental health services, but I don't know if I'm down with the Skype thing. I don't live in Atlanta, so I can't come see you personally. Uh, I don't live in Minnesota either, so I can't come to your office." And so they say, "Well, I'm not comfortable with doing the Skype thing. I have the money to pay you for your services. I just don't feel comfortable with that process." And I was like, I said, "Hey, brother, I totally understand. It's not a problem. It's not a problem, brother. I understand. But can I persuade you to go get help from your local county clinic? Can I get you to pursue getting help through your medical insurance? Can I persuade you to do that?" And the guy said he was on the fence. He said he had a job, but he said he had dealt with some stuff as a child, with some abuse as a child, and he said it's coming back to haunt him, and it's affecting his relationships with women. And I said, "Brother, you need to get some help." And I said, "You need, what is there to contemplate?" He said, "Well, I don't know if I can open up to somebody about it." I said, "Brother, you're gonna have to take a chance, take that risk, and take that step, and accept help. I know what it's like to need mental health services and not go out there and get it. I know what it's like. I'll tell you straight up, I was one of those people who did not take advantage of mental health services while I was serving on active duty, and then as a after I got out, I did not. It's not that I didn't take it seriously. I felt like I wasn't really getting the help that I needed. Now, to all my veterans out there, all the brothers and sisters out there that served in the military, and no matter whether you're black or not, I mean, it doesn't matter. To all my veterans out there, hey man, look, veterans, we cannot afford not to get mental health care. We can't afford it, man. Your life will be so much better if you get a counselor. Now, I must admit, most of the therapists and psychiatrists with the VA are assholes. Most of them are just there. If they're MD psychiatrists, they're just there to subscribe medications. And if they're a psychologist or a social worker, they're just there to get a paycheck. They're just muddling through and just doing whatever, and just, they're not really doing what they're supposed to do. They're still just looking to cover the VA's ass and not help you. So I understand as a veteran if you don't trust the VA. Well, that's one of the reasons why I offer mental health services first and foremost to my veteran brothers and sisters, because you need it, and I know you need it. And I've talked to vets, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, who don't trust the VA, and your distrust of the VA is valid, because I can tell you on many occasions that I got screwed by VA employees one way or the other, whether they misdiagnosed me a medical condition, and then I ended up not getting the health care attention that I deserved, or I had to go to another VA facility to get the same health care, or to get the same medical attention I should have gotten at that other VA facility. So I can honestly tell you that I totally understand your distrust of the VA. But please, my veteran brethren, get help. Please go get help. And to all of you who are not veterans, this situation with Robin Williams has taught me a lesson about mental health. And that lesson is we have to advocate for ourselves. If you know, whether you know what your mental disorder is or not, go get help. Go get help. Find a way to get help. Don't sit here and suffer in silence. Because, excuse me, I know what it's like to sit in silence and experience tragedy. Knowing you need help, but you don't seek help. I know what it's like. And you probably know as well. And that's why I urge you to go get help. Now, one of the contributing factors that I was able to research with Robin Williams was this whole issue with his marriages. And I found that to be interesting. And let me tell you why. Robin Williams, before his divorce a few years back, was worth $130 million. But due to his last divorce, his net worth went from $130 million to $50 million 2 years ago. And they said he was bummed out because of that. They said he was seriously bummed out that he was bummed out that he had to pay his last wife got $30 million out of his ass. And that's one of the reasons why I try to explain to guys to not get married. Because marriage is about a legally binding agreement between two consenting adults. Now, one thing you might want to understand is that let me back up. Yeah, he had some mental issues that started earlier in his childhood. They said something on HLN not too long ago. They said one thing about brilliant people like Robin Williams is that you can't be that brilliant and not have a screw loose. And I think that's true. When I was, and I'm still doing that documentary on the Minneapolis Sound. I'm still doing that documentary, but we're just in the process of doing the research and getting cleared for stuff. And we're having some difficulty getting clearance for a lot of stuff because we're you know, nobody knows who we are. And I'm using a film student from the University of Minnesota. But I'm not in any rush to do this documentary. It's going to get done. But a lot of brilliant guys like Prince, I mean, word on the street with Prince is that while he's, most of the time he's a pretty nice guy, he can be a dick. Sometimes he does some off the cuff type of shit and pisses people off. And he expects his ass to be kissed all the time. But then when you talk to people who know him really well, like Jerome or the guys that was in the time, you know, they say that while Prince might seem like he might be a total asshole, he really isn't. He really is a nice guy. But he's got his moments. You know, but, you know, he is driven by music, and that's something that he does all the time. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's been married twice and divorced twice. But brilliant people are usually very focused and kind of selfish and stingy with their attention. I mean, look at Tiger Woods. But Robin Williams is a case study for a lot of reasons. And he's a case study because, and one of the things that I just want to keep driving home is this materialism component. At the time of death, Robin Williams was worth $50 million, people. The man still killed himself. What does that say about money? First of all, you can't take it with you. Secondly, will it really change your life that much other than, you know, having all your bills paid? Because Robin Williams had pretty much had all his bills paid. And yet he was still depressed. He didn't just become depressed a day before he killed himself. He was depressed years before. The trick that the Euro Caucasian has played on all of us is that if you don't have money, if you're not blonde, if you're not Caucasian, if you don't live on the hill in a $1 million house, if you're not driving a Lexus or a Range Rover or a Jaguar, you ain't shit. They want you to believe that. And a lot of Asians and Hispanics do believe that. Especially the ones that have sniffed some money, who've had a little bit of success and have risen to the middle class level or upper middle class level or upper class level. All of a sudden they want to start acting white. Now we got some black folks out here that's doing it too. money is not everything, but it is to white folks. To me, what money represents, or diamonds or anything else, what it represents to me is the value that others place on it. If I wipe my ass with a $100 bill and you pick it up and put it in your pocket with ass chunks still attached to it, what does that say about your character? First of all, it says you're a nasty motherfucker. And secondly, you put a huge value on that $100 bill with shit on it. So it's what you perceive as value. Apparently, it's not valuable to me. I wipe my ass with it. That's why I laugh at people who sit up here and spend money on diamonds. That's the dumbest shit you could ever spend your money on. It ain't nothing but shiny ass fucking rocks out the ground, and the white man is making billions off of it. Mainly the De Beers family and a couple other white families. And you got all these dumbass Africans over there cutting off each other's arms for some goddamn diamonds. They ain't getting nothing but 2 or 3 cents to dig that shit up. Okay? The white man has fooled everybody into lusting after his wealth. Now, this is a known fact that you and I are privy to. It doesn't change the fact that you need to feed yourself. It doesn't negate the fact that you need to employ yourself and employ others. You still, if you want to eat, you got to get up off your ass and make that dollar. But what I'm mainly speaking to is the fact that television and movies have fooled all of us into chasing money that we'll never be able to obtain. That's what I really want to focus on. We waste our whole lives chasing money. Thinking, well, if I get this $400,000, first we say, if I get out of this 1-bedroom apartment, all my problems will be solved. So then you move into a 3-bedroom apartment. And then after that utopian bliss wears off the first month, now you're talking about this 3-bedroom apartment ain't shit. Then you start hoping and wishing again and start saying, well, if I could just buy my own house, that'll solve all my problems and make me happy. So then you find a way to save up the money and you buy a house. You move into the house, and then after the utopian bliss wears off after about a week or two, or actually until that mortgage bill comes due, and you get that statement in the mail from Bank of America Mortgage Company or some other mortgage company, Castle Rock Mortgage Company. Now you go to kicking and screaming and talking shit. Now you don't feel so blissful. Well, why not, motherfucker? You got the house you always wanted. Thought it was supposed to make you happy. Now you back talking shit. This house is expensive, and we gotta cut the lawn, and we gotta remove snow, or the roof is leaking, and this and this and this, and I gotta use my home warranty, and I gotta get a roofer out here. Now you bitching about that because of that paper mache house you done bought. You thought that was gonna make you happy long term, and all it provided you was instantaneous, short-term gratification. Now you're bitching and moaning about that house. And the whole time you were in that 3-bedroom apartment, you were saying, if I could just get a $150,000 house, I'll be happy. You go out and get that, and you still ain't happy. Then you say, well, if I could get a $500,000 house, I'll be happy. So you go out 10 years later and you buy a $500,000 house. And again, you go through that honeymoon period while you are euphoric. Everything is effervescent. And when that mortgage bill come due a month later, or you get the tax bill, your tax bill is $4,500 a year. Luckily, they're taking it out of your payment and putting it in escrow. Because if it was left up to you, you wouldn't have any money to pay your goddamn taxes on your house. And when you pay that $4,500 bill, now you're cussing and fussing about that. This house is expensive. I'm paying $3,500 a month. No, $500,000. No, you be paying about $5,000 a month. So I think it's like $1,000 for every 100,000. So now you got a $500,000 house. You're the toast of the fucking neighborhood, toast of your family. Everybody at work is envying your ass, and you still ain't happy. Man, I gotta pay $4,500 in taxes, property taxes every year, and then on top of that, I'm paying $5,000 a month. Man, it's so hard to come up with that $5,000 a month, but I gotta be happy. See, this is the logic that most women have. They can go to church every Sunday and worship Jesus Christ. They can sit up here and be living in a $7,500 house or $750,000 house. They can be driving a $100,000 Maserati, and that motherfucking bitch will still be unhappy. Because what Euro white folks have taught us is that we can derive happiness from things, from material possessions, from certain types of automobiles, from living in certain houses in certain neighborhoods, having access to money to go out and go on shopping spree, to get highlights in my hair if I'm a woman, or to go get lipo. They get all that stuff and they still aren't happy. So what does that say about being rich or being wealthy as opposed to having enough? I'm going to tell you what it says. It says that the Euro Caucasian folks that set up this nation and set up the Western civilization were full of shit, and they knew they were full of shit. You show me a rich white person, I'll show you the address and phone number to their psychiatrist. Rich, wealthy, and rich people and super rich people go see a shrink. Even if they don't have a mental disorder, they go see a shrink. Did y'all know that? That's why having a shrink to lower middle class and low income class people seems like it's just a rich person thing. No, therapy is not a rich person thing. It's just that they can afford it. Some of you can afford it, you just refuse to pay for it. Because you don't trust anybody. You're going to have to find somebody to trust so that you can have a fruitful life. I'm not saying that it's going to make you happy. Because let me explain something to you. This is the one gripe I have about dealing with white women. White women are under the impression that there's a such thing as being happy. Instead of saying what I want to have is balance in my life, because you're going to have more bad days than good days. Instead of wanting balance, what white women say they want is, I want to be happy. And now you got minority women who are trying to run after these white women and imitate them. Now they're running around talking about, I want to be happy. And you're supposed to help me become happy. That's why I be telling guys, don't ever marry none of these American women. Don't have kids with them. Because while they're running around here talking about you need to make them happy, they're not doing anything to make you happy. They think giving you a hand job at 3 o'clock in the morning, they think giving you some lame ass blow job with no ambition, or they think them just spreading their legs half asleep when y'all get in bed and letting you bust a nut and roll over and go to sleep. They feel that they've done enough for you. Oh, and by the way, don't expect a blowjob and a piece of ass every night, or don't expect to bust 2 nuts in a day. Oh no. I was just doing that to get you on the hook. And now that I got you, now that you done pumped me up with kids, and we're living together, or we're married, I don't have to put out anymore. My job is done. So that's what you get to look forward to when you deal with American women, no matter what their race is. But white women, see, you got to understand something. While white women all over the country try to come with that, you need to make me happy shit. One thing I can say about those women up in the Twin City area, they'll try to come at you with that bullshit, talking about, I'm just looking for somebody that's going to do this, and I want to travel to Paris. And, I shut that shit down. I shut it down. Because the first thing I say to them, well, let me address a couple of your questions. Let me address a couple of your concerns. And I'm just going to jump around here. You said something about you want to go to Paris. Well, have you gone out of the country on your own dime? No. Do you even have a passport yet? No. Then why are you telling me about what you want? Well, I was just thinking that if we got together, that I could have somebody to travel with. No, you're not trying to have somebody to travel with. What you're trying to do is intimate to me that this is what I need to pay for to make you happy. I'm not taking your ass anywhere. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to drive you around the block. Hell, I'm so cold on these bitches, I won't even pick them up and take them to my house. I'll be like, let me just text my address to you, and then you can just put it in your GPS. Oh, so you're not going to just come get me? No. You need to drive over here, bitch. Because if things don't go right, you can just leave. Because I don't want to be the one to have to drive you home. Now we got to, not say nothing to each other while I'm driving you home. I don't want to go through that kind of torture, because I've been there. I would rather you drive your own ass over here, and if you fuck up and I put your ass out, you got to do what you got to do. Okay? You got to do what you got to do. That's why I tell people all the time, never buy a home without a garage. When the last house I bought, I stipulated to the realtor that I wanted a house with a full 2-car garage, because what I would do is park my new truck in there, and then I'll leave my old shit sitting out. And what I do is I put a car cover on my shit, so if the bitch try to go in my garage while I'm asleep, she won't know what kind of car I got out there. Okay? Oh, all she know about is that raggedy piece of shit that got snow sitting on it, sitting out there in the driveway leaking oil. That's the only ride she know about. Cause every time, cause see, hear what I do to them bitches. So see, you gotta understand something. See, Twin City women will try to come at you with that bullshit of you gotta make me happy, but they get a rude awakening when they see you ain't offering none of that shit. And you gotta understand something. Right now, being it's almost September, up there in the Twin Cities, there's a mad dash going on to get somebody in that bed before it starts getting too cold. Right now, at all the bars and clubs, between about maybe mid-August to about maybe mid-September, especially white girls, they up there scrambling trying to find somebody. Because let me tell you something, the one thing that fucks with Twin City women is, or really women up there, period, in Wisconsin, Dakotas, and Iowa, and Minnesota, is that if you, it's hard, it's hard living to go through a winter without a boyfriend. Okay, that pussy is hot, and they need somebody in that bed, and that's why it's so easy for dusty niggas to come up to the Twin Cities and be players, because especially if they just fuck with nothing but white girls, it's so many of them up there that sooner or later they can find a bitch that'll drive them around. Man, like I said, I've been living in the Twin City off and on for about almost 20 years, and I can honestly tell you that one of the periods of my life when I fell off, my car, engine in my car blew up, and I had no car. And unfortunately, I still had to pay on it. So I still had to make that $400 a month payment, plus insurance. I didn't want my insurance to lapse. Because, really, if you let your insurance lapse past a couple of days, some insurance companies make it almost impossible to get insurance. It ain't just that easy and just that simple to make that payment and get caught up. They'll make your ass, they'll cancel your policy, period. And then make you start over. And then nowadays what they're doing is running motherfuckers' credit. Talk about, oh, you got bad credit. What the fuck does that have to do with auto insurance? Motherfucker, you call AAA. I never missed a payment, goddammit. The fuck is you talking about? Running my goddamn credit. Let me tell you who's famous for that kind of shit. Farmers and State Farm. They're famous for that shit. Don't even fuck with Geico. Geico love to fuck over military motherfuckers. I hate Geico. I have never dealt with Geico, but Geico has every military guy, every Air Force guy, or Navy guy, or Army guy, or Marines that had Geico. Geico was gouging their ass. Because I remember one time that one of the Air Force bases I was at, they filed a fucking lawsuit against Geico. They filed something in court on their ass because they were taking advantage, especially young airmen, young soldiers and sailors. Just taking advantage of them. Charging them rates that they wouldn't even charge non-military people. But this whole issue of wanting to be happy, I don't know if Robin Williams was weighing his mental functioning against that kind of impossible unobtainable destination or feat. I don't know. But it definitely, Robin Williams was a very private person. That's why I couldn't pull up too much information about him getting therapy. because he kept that a secret. Plus, they said that he had onset symptoms of Parkinson's disease, and that's one of the things that, according to his wife, that pushed him over the edge. Is that he didn't want to be the guy with Parkinson's disease. It's a sad situation, man. But one thing I have really grown resentful about toward American women is the fact that I'm not here. We men are not here to make you happy. That's not our job. You need to make yourself happy. See, that's all feminist, a bunch of feminist, corporate American feminist bullshit. Ideology. That's all that is. A man is supposed to make me happy. A man is supposed to make me laugh. But you don't do nothing but act cutesy and talk in a baby voice and put highlights and streaks in your hair and wear bustiers and tight ass clothes and talk in a baby voice. That's all you're supposed to do, and wave that carrot of vagina in front of our faces and watch us pant and act like some puppy dog for it. I've never had to deal with that kind of shit, but I can empathize with guys who have. I have never had a problem getting sex from women or women offering me sex. I've had cash flow problems. I ain't never had no problems getting ass. But I really dislike American women for all of this "you gotta make me happy" bullshit. That's one thing that I haven't experienced dating foreign women. They're just happy to have a man. If you ain't beating on them, if you treating them halfway decent, most foreign women are happy with that. Because one thing I noticed about African women that I fuck, Asian women that I fuck, European women that I fuck, South American, Central American, Mexican women I fuck, one thing that I can say about them is that they enjoy sex. And that's what makes them happy. Sex, being affectionate with their man in public, and they don't even need or want that much money. They just want enough. They don't mind going out there and going on a little rowboat and helping you catch fish for today's dinner and lunch and dinner. They don't have a problem with that. They don't have a problem with living in a hut, just as long as you treat them decently. They don't mind living in a modest apartment in Denmark. They don't mind living in a modest apartment in Berlin, Germany. They just want enough. They don't care about being rich. They just want to be able to sit out there on their stoop and drink espresso and smoke a cigarette or sip on wine with their boyfriend or their husband. That's all they want. They just want their kids to be healthy. And here come American women with all this unreasonable dumb shit about somebody making them fucking happy. And that you can give them millions of dollars. You can let them go on unlimited shopping sprees. You can buy them those $1,000 boots. You can take that bitch out to 5-star restaurants every day. You can go out here and take care of some other man's kids. You can go out here and take this bitch on weekend getaways to Aspen, Colorado to ski or to fly her to New York just to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich from LA. You can do all of that shit and the bitch will still complain. The bitch will still say she ain't happy, and the bitch will still go out and cheat on you and fuck your friends or fuck your relatives. And in the case of Robin Williams, money $50 million couldn't save his life. At the end, he still decided to be selfish. He felt that there was no other way he could obtain peace of mind other than taking his life. And unfortunately, he didn't think about his wife. He didn't think about all of his children. And he didn't think about the rest of his family. And he didn't think about his fans, how they would feel. Money ain't everything. All you need is God. And I'm not talking about religion, because you can have a one-on-one relationship with God without religion. You got to understand something. God came a long time before man-made European Roman Catholic or African religions. God is waiting for the black man and the black woman to wake up, stop trying to be Euro-American, and be black folks, and go back to being leaders of this planet, instead of sitting up here following behind a sick, demented, perverted Euro-Caucasian who always puts his perversion and his homosexuality and his hypersexuality and his narcissism and selfishness and violent behavior before anything else, including this planet. You tune into the Iceman Show. I'm your host, the Iceman. Go to AskTheIceman.com for information on subscribing to the Iceman Show, as well as advertising on the Iceman Show. Check out some of the advertising packages that I have at AskTheIceman.com, as well as business plans and business consulting services. And if you want to advertise at AskTheIceman.com, email me and we can talk about some specials that I have going on for putting your banner, because you have to provide me the code, providing and placing your banner at AskTheIceman.com. So if you want to advertise your business or your event or your book that you're self-publishing, send me an email at AskTheIceman.com@gmail.com or the Iceman Show at yahoo.com, and let's talk about some packages that will be well worth your time. You tuned in to the Iceman Show. I'm your host, the Iceman. Black people, God is waiting for the black man and the black woman to wake up and become managers of this planet again. It's not going to happen if you're chasing money. It's not going to happen if you're out here chasing ass. And it's not going to happen if you are self-hating and dusty and you hate your fellow black man and woman. It's not going to work. Holler at your boy.